Life is Strange is a graphic adventure game published by Square Enix and created by Not Entertainment. The series came out with the first installment, which released in 5 episodes in 2015. 7 years later, the Remastered Collection came out. And today I will be sharing some facts about the collection, considering that there's already a lot of these videos, but mostly talking about the original game of 2015. Life is Strange Remastered Collection was released on February the 1st of 2022. It was said to come out almost at the same time as Life is Strange True Colors, considering there's an Ultimate Edition that allowed you to own both True Colors and the Remastered Collection, but it had to be delayed. The Remastered Collection was originally due to launch last September, a mere 2 weeks after the arrival of the series' lastest entry, Life is Strange True Colors. But the publisher Square Enix ultimately made the decision to postpone its release into 2022, citing the ongoing challenges of the worldwide pandemic. The Remastered Collection was sold on the promise we would get native 4K rendering in Unreal Engine 4 and Unity, updated 4K-ready character models, more details on fabrics, tears, injuries, and more, expressive animations, a brand new lighting system, motion capture on faces, improved lip syncing, and improved hair physics. The Remastered Collection was released with a number of bugs and issues due to nowadays we can't expect nothing from game developers who constantly release unfinished games with day one patches. From a list of the main bugs and problems the game had a few days after its release, there were characters in cutscene freezes, text staying on screen, animation bugs, blurry dialogue scenes, no subtitles at times, extremely bright lighting, max flashlight flickering, flickery textures, the lighting is unbalanced, and the quality of the ending cutscenes ran at a terrible quality, and they still do, by the way. I played this game a few days ago, so basically a year after its release, and after a huge number of patches to fix the game, I was still able to find problems, most importantly, the poor quality cutscenes with no audio or soundtrack in them, which was extremely depressing, and I also found some lighting issues. Dana's room. It was one of the main bugs that was actively being talked about on subreddits and forums. It was by far the scene that made people realize the lighting issues the game had and the inconsistencies became more obvious. Dana's room looked extremely bright, where it was almost impossible to see. As of now, the lighting in the room is fixed, but if you look outside the window, you can see they fixed the internal lighting but not the external one. Max's face. This was one of the topics of discussions about the remastered version, mainly because of how different she looks despite also making her textures look more realistic. The main talking point were the eyes. They were darker and bigger, and some people felt weird saying that it just doesn't really feel like the real Max Caulfield. Rachel's face theories. Before the Remastered Collection came out, there were a few debates about if Steph's face would actually change completely after Life is Strange True Colors came out. As you can see, the Steph of the original game and True Colors are considerably different, so there were discussions whether if they would put the new modeled face on the Remastered Collection. But actually, when some pictures came out about the character improvements, Steph's face remained the same with a few texture improvements. Most people thought this was the right choice considering that Steph's new face wouldn't fit with the art style of the main game. The rewind effect has changed quite notably. In the main game it flickers and shakes quite a lot, making it feel real and supernatural, while now the camera stays still. This wasn't much of an issue for the fans, but a few people had came out with comments about how much they don't like how the rewind effect looks now. Outfit changes. There's only a few scenes where the outfits of the characters change in the new version of the game. One is shown in Chloe's room, where we can see her with her dark jacket, while in the original game, she wasn't wearing it at all. T-posing. T-posing was a very common issue in the game, not only for secondary characters, but Max Caulfield as well. The most talked about T-posing incident was shown on Life is Strange Before the Storm. This one was very annoying for fans of the series because it's an emotional scene and we see not only Rachel but also Chloe T-posing throughout the whole scene, which is immersion breaking at least. The 60 FPS debate. It was shocking once the Remastered Collection came out and it was announced that the game didn't run at 60 FPS. This was major disappointment considering that the original game actually had a 60 FPS boost. So you could argue that the original game felt, looked, sounded and ran way better than the remastered version. The Nintendo Switch delay. The game was set to come out on Switch at the same time it came out for PC and console gamers, but for different reasons the game released almost 7 months later. I guess because Square Enix focused first on fixing the game for both PC and console gamers. The patch roadmap. Square Enix released the plans to fix the game issues a while ago, where they divided the process in 3 main stages: Patch A, Patch B, and additional fixes Round C. The list for every single category is excessively long, showing how unfinished the game was on day one release. I tried to research and count how many patch updates were made since the collection came out, and I was able to count up to 14. There were 14 different patch updates, some of them for Xbox, PlayStation, and others for Steam. That's a pretty big amount of patches considering there's still very clear and obvious problems the developers still have not bothered on fixing. It's not only the same level of Cyberpunk 2077, obviously it's not as bad, but I think it's fair to say that what Cyberpunk 2077 developers have been able to accomplish has been insane, and they actually worked very hard on fixing their game, and now it's an amazing experience. Life is Strange is far more smaller in scale, and it surprises me how many issues and problems this game has despite being quite very small in size. The last public patch released on Life is Strange's main Instagram account, which was posted on August 18th, 2022, 5 months ago. They're probably working on some more updates and fixes considering the game still has plenty of issues, especially considering the cutscenes and soundtrack, but there haven't been much news about anything the past few months. Texture changes. The grass is one of the main changes in the game. It used to be a plain green texture, while the remaster now shows actual 3D rendered grass. The hair was also completely changed to a more realistic look, where the strands of hair would actually move, making things look more alive and real. In my opinion, as many others have stated, these few texture changes made the game feel completely different from what it was. It isn't an oil painting anymore, and it now feels like a bunch of 3D modeled objects put together without any art direction. The ending cutscenes. After the end of every episode, there's usually a cutscene with music in the background. Considering these moments are probably the most emotional and special moments, it was and still is very disappointing for fans of the game that the cutscenes still run at 4080p, and at times with no background music. This meaning that new gamers who come to play this for the first time will probably watch these cutscenes in complete silence, thinking that's the way it was intended, missing beautiful songs and amazing cutscenes. Life is Strange is my favorite game of all time. Despite its flaws, I still consider it to be more than just a game, but an experience. It changed my life completely when I was a kid. The way I dressed, the way I thought, and the music I listened to completely changed because of this game. Now I'm not a teenager anymore, and I can look at this game for what it is. A beautiful memory that I will never forget. And I'm a little disappointed this remastered collection wasn't approached with the same care and love that the original game got.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.